Well, welcome, folks. Well, here we are again with Multihull Solutions doing one of our popular webinars. As we do each fortnight, we're just going to hold fire while the registered participants join in with us. And then we will get rolling with today's presentation, which is a very good one. It's the ILIAD 50, which arrived in Australia a few weeks ago. Brand new power catamaran, and having had already a good walkthrough of the boat, it's very impressive. So I'm looking forward to today's presentation with Marcus Overman, who'll be walking us through the boat, and Mark Elkington, the CEO of ILIAD. So once we get everyone who's registered joining in with us, we'll commence the walkthrough. The picture that you see there is of the ILIAD 50 off the shores of Moreton Island, Tangalooma. So those who are familiar with that part of the world, a great place to cruise. And that was done probably 2 months ago, mid-COVID. And it was a film shoot that was done with the both the ILIAD 50 and the ILIAD 70. So you'll have been, if you've been on YouTube or on the ILIAD website, you'll see a lot of the imagery that's coming out of that that photo shoot, which was very successful. Okay, so today, as we do each week, this is, believe it or not, our 14th webinar in the Multihull Solutions webinar series. We started these back in May as a way of connecting with our clients during the COVID shutdown, and the success has been fantastic. And as you may be aware, all of the webinars that we have done, we've recorded, and they are all up on the Multihull Solutions YouTube channel. So you can go to Multihull Solutions YouTube and go back and watch any of the presentations. About 5 or 6 weeks ago, we did a walkthrough on the ILIAD 70. So if you haven't seen that one, it's certainly worth going back and watching. Now today, you can ask us questions anytime you like. We would love to take your questions and pass it on to Marcus and Mark. To do that, you just click on the Q&A box, which is up there in the top of the screen, or on the bottom of your screen, but in the black bar. If you click on Q&A, and you can type your answer. We'll endeavour to answer that as we go, if it's a question that's relevant to the section of the boat that we're talking about at that time, or we will hold it over to a Q&A session at the end. Our next webinars, Cruising Resources is the next one for those who are interested, on the 23rd of October. And that's where we'll be talking about some apps and support support tools that you can use when you're out there cruising, whether it be power or sail. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to do a really good one with the guys from the Down Under Cruising Rally on sailing to and cruising the Southwest Pacific on the 6th of November. Can you believe it's November? A reminder too, if we just click back there, those who are in Southeast Queensland, or anywhere in Queensland for that fact, and hopefully New South Wales, if the border's open, there is the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show, or a condensed version of the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show that's normally held in May, is being held this November on the 13th, 14th and 15th of November. So just a reminder that we'll have some of our Multihull Solutions yachts and power vessels and power catamarans on display at that show, and we'd love to see you there. My name is Greg Boller. I'm the new yacht sales manager for Multihull Solutions, and holding the camera today, very capably as always, and managing the production behind the scenes of our webinar is Rachel Crook. So I think Rachel's muted at the moment, but hello there, Rachel. So we're going to meet Mark Elkington today. We'll have a chat to him shortly. He's the person who gave birth to the concept of ILIAD catamarans, and has got it very capably to where it is today, with a number of vessels having been launched, and certainly a number of boats in the pipeline. Mark and I have been working together for well over 20 years, from way back when we used to run Sunsail, And Mark is certainly a very capable member of the marine industry here in Australia and through the Asia Pacific. And then joining him today to do the walkthrough is our specialist power expert, Marcus Overman. Those of you who are making inquiries and talking to Multihull Solutions about our power catamarans, you would have come across Marcus. And he, again, is a gentleman with a wealth of experience, especially after many years selling big power boats up there in Thailand. So it'll be good to have Marcus walk us through the ILIAD 50 today. Just a reminder before we jump aboard the ILIAD 50, the range at the moment, we have the 50, the 60, the 70 and the 90, which is coming soon. Here in Australia at the moment, we have the 50 and the 70. 60 will be with us early next year, but we'll get Mark Elkington to give us a chat about that. And the first ILIAD was brought to Australia at the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show in 2019. That was the official launch of the product there. So in a short period of time, it has certainly got some traction in the marketplace and some very happy owners. Just before we hand over and do the walkthrough, just a reminder about the ILIAD catamarans and why we say it is the power catamaran of choice. It's safe and comfortable, long-range blue water power catamaran. Has the longest range in the market, 2,500 to 6,000 nautical miles. And today, Marcus will give us some information on fuel burns and cruising speeds and so on. Some real flexibility in terms of each client being able to have a say in the customization of the design to reflect the individual styles. It's got the protected grounding skegs, making them beachable in emergencies, which is very important. And ILIAD hulls are manufactured with an all vinyl ester hull. So they're fully infused vinyl ester and not just the outer shell. We've got a few different layouts that we'll talk about today. And so what I'm going to do is we'll come to those layout slides towards the end of the walkthrough. But for now, I'm going to turn my camera off. I'm going to stop this share screen here. And I'm going to go there and I'm going to turn my camera off, and that will bring into full screen mode Marcus Overman. So welcome, Marcus.
Hi Greg, and welcome everybody to this walkthrough of the ILIAD 50 here on the Gold Coast. And as Greg alluded to in the introduction, ILIAD are not a production shipyard. They're a boutique shipyard building bespoke power cats from 50 to 90 feet with semi-customization available. And so if you're looking for a boat that gives you good range, very comfortable, and the natural stability of a cat, then ILIAD is something worth looking at. So I think we'll just go straight into it and come aboard. So before we do that, I'll just explain a little bit about the freeboard. So on all ILIAD yachts have very high freeboard to give the boat as maximum bridge clearance off the water as possible. That gives them much better ride in rough weather. So if you can see the tunnel clearance under the boat here is, even with this platform, is 850 mil, which is one of the biggest in her class. So again, that gives a nice ride in all types of weather, stops any slamming or any bashing under the boat. The first thing you notice is this boat has been fitted with a hydraulic tender platform. So this is a 24-volt system that can lift up to a tender up to 450 kilos, any length that you like. And I'll just demonstrate for you now how it operates. So you don't need generator running to operate this, it runs off the batteries. And you'll notice as it's going into the water, it's extending out past the transom of the boat or the platforms of the boat. That enables us to put as long a dinghy as possible without being restricted of the distance between the hulls. So this will go down 350 mil into the water. And obviously we would just custom fit some chocks to whatever tender you choose. So a 450 kilo tender, you should be able to get a 4.5 metre center console with a 40 horsepower. Really nice tender on the back.
Just a comment on that design of that tender lift, Marcus. It's very clever, isn't it? Because none of the mechanical parts of that lift actually go into the water.
That's right. So the aluminium tray is the only section that goes in the water. All the gear, hydraulics stay out of the water. So it's a very robust system designed in Italy and built in Taiwan. So this is the first boat that we've had come with it, and it's been really popular so far. So there are other davit systems. We can put a crane on the flybridge, which we can go up and talk about later, or we can have the traditional davit system with an electric winch, bringing the tender up that way. So there's a few different options.
And just to check again, what's the working load capacity of that, Marcus?
450 kilos. So onto the bathing platforms here, they're really quite wide, great for fitting on your diving gear or snorkeling gear. You've got a swim ladder here on the starboard side. You have a hot and cold shower just here, and a freshwater inlet for shore freshwater. So moving up into the cockpit. I think initially we'll go straight up to the foredeck and we'll show you what the front of the boat is like.
While Marcus is walking along there, I think it's just amazing, isn't it, that we're on a 50-foot power catamaran here. This is such a voluminous, or such a large amount of space for a 50-foot boat.
Yeah, it's a really sizable boat. It feels a lot bigger than you think when you're on board, but it's still at a very comfortable size that it's easily operated by a couple. So with all the space and advantages it produces, it's still easily managed, and the way it's been designed is particularly for that, for a couple or short crew to do some extended cruising. So on the foredeck here, you can see initially there's 2 double sunbeds with reclining backrests. Displacement speed or 12 knots is a really nice place to be. And in the afternoon when you're at anchor, if there's any wind around, it's coming straight in through the big hatch. The anchoring system is cleverly hidden down here. You might need to come around range. So you've got a 1500 watt 12 volt anchor windlass with a very deep anchor well, 100 meters of chain, and these switches, foot switches here to operate up and down the anchor windlass. Also, of course, you can operate from the interior helm or the flybridge helm. Just after the anchor well is access to the grey and black water tanks. Not that you ever really need access to them, but what ILIAD have cleverly done is tried to create as much storage space as possible. So this actually in practice becomes a really good place to keep garbage bags. You know, if you're out for a week or so, or a couple of weeks, the garbage does pile up, and this is a good place because it's completely sealed from the rest of the boat. So with a couple of plastic tubs in here, you can keep the rubbish in there until you can get ashore and then get rid of it. So as we know, storage is always an issue on any boat. But on the ILIAD, you have 2 very big lockers here on the bow that can be used for a lot of gear, fenders, lines. So here on the port side, I don't know if you can see in there, but it's a 2 meter deep locker which has the bow thruster, and this is a good place to keep the fenders, the mooring lines, the if we put some shelving and buckets in there, we can keep all sorts of gear. We have done before, we put the stand for fishing rods, even dive tanks in these spaces. So you can never have enough storage. On the starboard side, normally it would be a carbon copy of what we just saw, but on this particular boat, we've demonstrated how this one can be used as a crew cabin. So in there is a single bed, and under the bed is which lifts up, is a toilet, sink, and this area is air conditioned and could be suitable for a crew member. So it's really just to demonstrate what can be done. As you know, there's a level of customization available. So if you decided you want a workbench in there with a vise or more storage shelving, something like that, that can all be accommodated.
Good for a naughty member of the family.
Well, yeah, sure. I don't know if you can see from here, Rach, you can see how high we are off the water. So it's a good 2.1 metres up here to the deck. And then that's the beginning, obviously, from that very deep ridge clearance that we talked about. Lowest point being at the back. Looking aft, you can see the top of the superstructure with the searchlight, which remote controlled from the helms. The hard top, which has the solar panels on top, and obviously the radar and all antennas. So we'll get up to the flybridge shortly, but we'll head back towards the cockpit. So the side deck's 600 mil wide, so you've got plenty of room. These are 750 high, so they're at a good safe height. This is an opening side gate, so if you pull up alongside a wharf or a jetty, you can easily get on and off. Or let's say you're rafting up to a friend's boat, this makes for easy access in and out from the side of the boat. Notice here the size of the bollards here. So it's really heavy gear that you won't see on a production boat. This is really heavy stuff that you'll only get on an ILIAD. So we can have an option of mooring capstans here with foot switches. So on a 50-foot boat, it's debatable whether you need them, but the option's there if you do want. There's the rope blockers just there.
Now, Marcus, just before you walk away from there, you came down the side of the boat then, and you've got the logo on the side, the ILIAD logo and the 50. At night time, does this boat have that impressive modern look with all the backlighting, the LED lighting?
That's an option, not on this particular boat, but we have the option. This boat's a stock boat that we've brought in to Australia for the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show next month. So it's still not owned by anyone, and it'll be available at the show next month. And then we can put the backlit LED names on the transom, and logos is up to you.
Okay. Who have we got there?
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Good, thanks. So it's good to see you, and obviously you're very proud of this, the latest ILIAD 50 you've brought into the country.
Yeah, we are. We're excited to show this boat to the market. This has got further changes, as we do with every boat we build. We keep on innovating and listening to customers, and it's amazing the more people that go through our boats, the comments that are made. Quite often we get something that we feel is a great idea, and we infuse that into the next run of boats we build. And I'll be more than happy to show some of these features, particularly for people that have seen an ILIAD 50 in the past. If they've seen one at the boat shows in Asia or in Australia, or been on one of our boats with an owner, there's some really nice subtle changes we've made in the boat, which just enhance the lifestyle on board an ILIAD.
And so around you there, I see one of those is the cockpit fridge.
Yeah, well, look, you might, for those that might have seen ILIAD's on display in Australia last year, we had an accordion door that, that sat next to the wall here, which the concept was great for what we thought we wanted to achieve, was to maximise the opening, but the negative was we lost the access to this area. So now we've got a good storage area below for fenders. Ultimately, it's for the deck chairs that go around the table here. But now we've got a 130-litre drinks fridge here in the cockpit, which serves the cockpit for entertaining really well. So these are compromises. Every boat's a compromise, but at the end of the day, you want to put the lifestyle of the boat is critical. So we think this is better for our market to have the storage, the fridge, and we've gone to a sliding door across the range now.
And just while you're there, and before we hand back to Marcus, I think a lot of your other changes are around the galley area. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, if you'd like to wander through, first of all, we had a panel that was a movable panel that fitted in the sliding opening here to give you a flow through from the galley to the serving bench. We've now just created a really clever idea, a fold-out solid teak panel that drops over, and straight away you've got a seamless servery from the galley to the outside to the dishwasher. So dishes can come in, I can rinse them and straight in the dishwasher. So it's seamless now. We don't have to pull out a panel that clipped in. Everything's connected and integrated, so less hassle to create what we did in the earlier days.
It's not a bad spot to do the washing up either.
It's great for the washing up, but the dishwasher can take all that hassle away. We also put a rail here that we felt was critical for some of the sea trials we've done in really hard conditions. This was an area that people were feeling a bit unsafe. We've got a very good secure handrail here. Now you can navigate your way through the boat in rough offshore conditions. You've got rails to grab hold of all the way through. You can see we've got a rail at the table. So I can come in a big seaway. I've always got something I can grab hold of walking through the boat.
Now, can I ask a question, Marcus? Have you finished talking to us about the cockpit area?
No, there's a few features here that we should point out. So this is a lovely bar area, which becomes a very popular place when at anchor. So in this particular boat, we've now got a rubbish bin here and the storage shelf just there. And on this side, we've got this locker is the gas locker. So if you have gas oven or gas stovetop, we have the gas bottles there, and then we can have gas barbecue, a portable gas barbecue here, or a permanent one up on the flybridge. So the cockpit seating is a 2.4 metre wide bench seat with storage underneath, and then this dining table with the chairs that Mark mentioned, foldable director's chairs. You can happily seat 8 people here, and this becomes, here on the flybridge becomes your main dining positions on board. So when you're not in dining mode, we fold it away. A solid teak table, and it becomes less of an obstruction, and it has cover when it's not being used, so it's a really nice setup. Twin heavy-duty pedestals, so it doesn't raise up and down. It's totally fixed. We decided that this would become the main dining area on the boat because, I mean, it's such a beautiful place to be. You've got
and you can fully enclose the cockpit area with obviously fold-down canopy.
Yeah, because this boat has just arrived, we haven't got around to that, and we're going to do that. It's a personal choice for people. If we put one colour on, whoever buys it will probably want a different colour, so we just leave it to the eventual owner. Here is extra storage again with ILIAD. They do a very good job of creating as much storage on board as possible. So that's a good place for cleaning gear, your shore power leads, you can see in there. And I think that's it for the cockpit. You've got speakers here, LED downlights, and you've got courtesy lights up and down the stairs. So, Rach, if you want to move into the...
And the reason I was asking about if you'd finish in the cockpit is because there's quite a bit of industrial noise coming from up the track there. Is once we step inside now, can we shut the back doors so we've got a...
I think I'd like to show a demonstration, Greg, on the noise, I guess, insulation and sound management system that we've done a lot of work on with ILIAD. We're going to give you a demonstration of that. I think that's gone now. Once we're inside, it's considerably quieter anyway. But I just run through, we got a lot of feedback in the early boats about, the noise is there again, is it? We put a whole new Bloom drawer system in the boat. So you've got, every boat comes with interiors of the drawers. You can make up your own system for knives and forks and for all your cutlery on what size, what areas you want. This is a really, finding every bit of room. We managed to re-engineer this part of the below the bench tops and create these small drawer areas. We've also found a very clever locking system. Whilst they're all soft closed drawers, and generally when you're just floating around at anchor, there's no need to lock all the drawers off. You just want to open, grab something, close them, but they're all positive locked at sea. So you can, as soon as you go to sea, you positively lock them and you cannot open these drawers. We had issues, cupboard catches on boats are a challenge. I think many boat owners would have experienced this in their life. But these were a great positive locking system. We've also changed the drawer system for these overhead cupboards. For shorter people, they're quite difficult to get to. So now we've engineered a system with basically a shelf on the inside for your wine and wine glasses and things, and we can easily access every part of these drawers now. This is the same on both sides, and again, really nice positive locks. This side as well, great place for your herbs and spices, salt and peppers, stuff that you want to get to. Very good overhead storage in the boat, as you can see. So they're just some of the subtle changes we've made. Bin arrangements under the sink. We had a lot of comments about more bin areas on the boat. Now we've got one in the cockpit. We've got one which is basically recycling and general rubbish, and an organisation system under the galley sink here, which has been really pleasing to achieve. Great storage under the floorboards, which basically I can show you that. Where's your pointer? So again, look, we don't put floor catches on our cabin soles. You can have it if you want. We're building some boats for clients that Marcus is dealing with hinged lift-up floorboards. You can have wider access hatches. You need to tell us what you want as a buyer. But just as an example, it's a very simple suction cap, and you lift up your floorboard. You've got about 750 litres of storage through the main central area here. But if you want, hinged opening hatches, or if you want finger lifts on them, if you want them on the, if you want them bigger, smaller in another area, you give us a brief and we build the boat for you. Yeah. So it's up to the personal buyer, but as a display boat for the Australian market, we're going to be looking forward to showing this boat off in the Century Cove Yachting Festival next month. This is our standard recommended layout and concept of a good all-round 50 ILIAD long-range cruising boat. So I'll let you carry on, Marcus, if you like. So.
Thanks, Mark. As Mark's pointed out, the galley is a main feature, one of the main features of the main saloon, but in fact it's almost split into 4 areas. You've got the galley, the dinette here, the lounge, the forward lounge just here, and the lower helm. So all are very well utilised areas on the boat. So the dinette, which is adjacent to the galley, has this very clever foldable table. So we found that you don't always necessarily need it open, and it gives you a better flow from the galley to the fridge with it open. But those times where you're deciding to eat inside, you can open it up, and you have these clever stools where you can sit 4 to 5 people here quite happily having breakfast or dinner if the weather's bad outside. So that's a nice feature of the boat. You've got more lockers along here with power points in them. The air conditioning for the boat, it has a reverse cycle 65,000 BTU water chilled aircon system. So throughout the whole boat is fully airconned. Moving forward, you step up into the forward lounge without losing any headroom. So it's 2 metre headroom throughout the boat. So this was cleverly designed on purpose in a way to give people better visibility when they're sitting down in the saloon. So too often we find that you're sitting on the boat and you can't see the horizon. So Ricardo Bulgarelli has been very adamant that's in his designs. He wants people to be able to see, you know, all corners and take advantage of the glass all around. So so this lounge is obviously a big L-shaped lounge with a removable coffee table, so that's not fixed. And then these ottomans, which are cleverly stored underneath, become really useful. And in fact, the helm chair can also act as another seat if you need it in the lounge. So it's a really nice place to be with the opening window. Whatever wind is around, wind your anchor gets funneled through the boat. So it's fantastic having this window. It's also great for communication between, you know, you and your partner. If you're anchoring or picking up the mooring, you can be communicating with your partner as to what's going on. So the main switchboard for the boat is just here. So you have a 24-volt house bank with 12-volt, like the engine battery, the bow thruster battery, and a few electronics at 12-volt. But the majority of the equipment on board is all 24-volt. You've got your 7 bilge pumps with their alarms here, battery switches, remote start for the generator. This is your inverter controller. There's a 5 kilowatt standard Victron inverter on board. All your battery switches, your tank monitoring, analog gauges. We prefer to use things that we know are tried and proven rather than LED. We can try to avoid it. We use the old-fashioned analog, but again, it's a personal choice, whatever the owner wants. The fire suppression systems here, and then this is all the 240-volt and air conditioning. So you can choose to have these perspex or glass, covered cupboards, or you may want to have a timber cover. It's up to you. So the blinds on the boat, an option is to have motorized blinds. So these are all individually switched, so you can have one up and one down depending on what you wish, or they can all synchronize together as you've seen now.
Yeah, I think, Marcus, it's a really good feature. A lot of people do leave their boat for a month, park it in the marina, go back to work for a while. It's really protects the furnishings, protects all your interior. It's a push of a switch, close your back door, and your boat's in really good shape with a dehumidifier setting on your aircon running. Your boat's dry and safe and protected from the elements, you know, when you leave the boat.
And also those days where you're parked in the marina
Yep.
and you're in the
Yep.
evening and you want to watch a movie
We'll
or
just
something like that.
throw up the middle one, like the ventilation there, throw up, that's number, what, 1, 2, 3, 5. So number 5, you can just select whichever blind you want up if you've got people you don't want to look at next door in the marina, or we just want some ventilation through. You might be watching a movie, you know, anchored in a bay, you just want to get out of the sun and the brightness for the day, let the ventilation come through, but keep the boat nice and well shaded.
And Mark, whilst you're back in there with Marcus, what about the client who wants to have a say in terms of floor, carpet, upholstery? Is there...
Look, again, ILIAD, our marketing phrase is freedom of choice. It's up to every buyer what furniture they want as far as fabrics, timber, flooring. It's up to each individual buyer what they do. We're doing, you know, teak and holly floorings. We're doing
No carpet.
no carpets. We're doing full carpets. We're doing you know, a lot of different exotic timbers on some of the 60s and 70s we're building. It's really, we're doing 2-pack on a few boats. We don't recommend it. It's not the best finish, I don't think, but in areas it works really well. We do 2-pack cupboards, but it's up to every buyer to bring what they want to see in their new boat to us, and we will create that boat for them.
Very good, thank you.
So you probably noticed the TV pops up here, so it's situated behind the electrical board. So it's a 43-inch flat screen. And then the final part of the main saloon is the lower helm station. So you have, with ILIAD, again, with the freedom of choice, you can choose whatever electronics you like, and you have a wide range of engine choices. In this size engine range, we recommend from as low as 220 horsepower Volvos up to 480 Volvos. We also have the selected Yanmar range, and this particular boat has 440 horsepower Yanmars with a 13.5 kilowatt Onan engine. So you can see the layout here. You've got your gauges and rudder angle, electronic controls here, your side power thrusters. These are emergency controls for the Yanmar. If you have a failing on your electronic controls here, you can operate the engines forward and start and stop, forward and reverse here, which is handy. The Bliss boat has zip wake interceptors on it, and you have automatic settings, so they're very easy to use. Start and stop for the engines, searchlight, and then the engine diagnostic displays and further ray marine. So I think that's
so while we're there at the engine, at the control panel at the helm, would you like to just give us a bit of an idea of fuel consumption and also speeds?
Sure. So this boat holds 300,000 litres of fuel.
3,000.
What did I say? 300,000. Yeah, 10% of that. So 3,000 litres of fuel, and at 6 knots, it's burning 1 litre per nautical mile. So you'll do, if you take away 10%, for safety, you're doing over 2,500 nautical miles. And then it does a top speed of 21, 22 knots and a cruising speed between 17 and 19 knots.
Fantastic.
But yeah, so your fuel consumption is from a litre a nautical mile up to, you know, whatever you want to burn, depending on how fast you're going. It's about 120 litres an hour at 17 knots.
Yeah. Is that,
18 knots.
Mark, is that a litre per hour per engine, or is that combined?
No, that's combined. That's both engines running at 6 knots.
Wow.
You know, a really good cruising speed of 8 knots. We'll give you a demonstration of, during this presentation about the quietness on this boat when your motors are running. No, a lot of people are totally amazed at it's like sitting at home doing 8 knots along the ocean when you're sitting in this area with the back doors closed. If you're in a, you want to get out of the weather, you've got 3 or 4 days of cruising to do to get to a remote location. No better place than being tucked away in this main deck with all the vision and the view and all the comforts of home with the aircon running. It's a really amazingly quiet place to be. We've done a lot of work on our sound management from the engine room into the living area of the boat.
Very good. So should we go and have a look at the cabins, Marcus?
Yeah, okay. Sorry, Greg?
I was just going to say, should we go and have a look at the cabins?
Yeah, please follow me. So down here on the starboard side, we have 2 guest cabins. So this is the aft starboard cabin, which has a number of different variations. At the moment, we have a queen size bed, which is sitting athwartships, and with great hanging locker space. Behind the door is even more shelving for socks and jocks and things like that. This boat can easily be arranged. This cabin can also be arranged with 2 twin beds, where you're walking down the middle and with a bedside table at the back. So it's a great kids cabin. It can even be made with a Pullman, a single fold-up Pullman against this wall, or this outboard wall. So you can put 3 singles in here. Notice the big hull window, which is one of the biggest. It's the biggest window in this side of the hull. So it's a really great guest cabin with its own ensuite. So fully enclosed shower with freshwater electric flush toilets. You have portholes is yet to be put in for natural ventilation in the window there. And then the extra door here helps this ensuite act as the day head. So if we were out with some friends, we would close this door off, and then this would become the day head used by everybody on board. So moving forward to the forward cabin, in the foyer here we've got a washing machine, 6.5 kilowatt washing machine, with storage under here for cleaning products, and a nice little table here, or shelf here if you like, to put your washing powder while you're doing the washing. So it's something that we've learned from feedback from other owners, saying it would be nice to somewhere to rest the cleaning gear, and then difficult for you to see from there, but there's a nice linen cupboard with 2 shelves, very deep, for towels and things like that. Moving into the forward guest cabin, this cabin has a huge amount of storage space. So in practice, probably too much for what a guest would need who is staying here. So with these big lockers here, with the addition of some shelving, this would be a great place to keep linen, pillowcases, sheets for the whole boat. Because behind you here, you've got 2 large hanging lockers for the guests' belongings. You've got all this shelf space, and even further up there near the head of the bed is even more shelving. Notwithstanding, there's a large drawer under everybody's bed, which is great for putting clothes, t-shirts, shorts, and so on. Under each bunk, there's also a place to keep the suitcases. So when you have friends who come in or fly in, they always look for places to put their suitcase, and it's difficult on a boat, but that becomes solves that problem on an ILIAD. So here you have the ensuite bathroom.
Wow.
So 3 bathrooms in total, or heads.
And on the way out, Rach, we'll get you to open up that linen cupboard beside the washing machine. Yeah. Yeah.
under here that's the big 5 kilowatt inverter. So easy to access if you ever need for maintenance. And then walking back up to the main deck, you've got 5 steps. And down into the port side, we're now into the owner's suite. So, and this is a real highlight of the boat. So you've got spanning the whole port side. It's actually 8.5 meters long from the head of the bed there to the end of the ensuite. So it's a really spacious, lovely, airy place with lots of natural light. Nice settee there, 3 big hull windows. Great amount of storage. You can see the drawers down here. There's another big drawer under Rachel's, under the bed behind Rachel. Great storage here on the desk. Oops. Like that. So this is a nice little desk area. So more often than not these days you have to do some emails or pay the bills. So this is a great little place. When the boat's full of people, you can close the door here to give a bit of privacy, come down here, do a bit of work. It also doubles as a vanity desk for makeup if you need. And on the back of the door here or here, we can put a full-length mirror. So when you're getting ready to go out for the evening, it's nice to have a full-length mirror on board, and that's the place where we would put that. So again, fantastic storage with 2 large, it's actually the same full hanging lockers with shoe storage underneath. And then huge locker space here for clothes. And then if you go into the ensuite, and then the master ensuite is huge. It's 2.5 meters long with a large shower, massive linen cupboard on the right there, electric freshwater flush again.
And just while you're panning around in there, Rachel, I'll just remind all of our participants, you are welcome to ask questions. Just click on the Q&A box and drop us a note if you have any questions you'd like to pose to Marcus or Mark.
So 2-meter headroom throughout on both sides. All the lower deck has very good headroom. This is a queen size bed with walk around. So it tapers off slightly at the foot of the bed, but you've got a queen size bed here. We can actually fit a king size, but then you lose the walk around, but it's a personal choice. It's really up to you. This is quite a nice little settee. It's a nice space, you know, putting your socks on in the morning or throwing your clothes before you jump in the shower. You often think that you might not use it, but I think you find that you use it more than once you have it, you use it more than you think. Okay, shall we go upstairs onto the flybridge?
Yeah, and just we'll let Rachel have a pan around in that cabin. That is such an impressive cabin. So on the way past, Mark, that owner's cabin is so impressive.
Oh, look, it's you know, the restriction you have with a cat is you've got, you don't have the volume of monohull in a hull. So the compromises with a catamaran in a hull is the volume. You don't have the beam, so you can't create some of the spaces you want to, but you've got a lot of length in this hull, as you can see, with separating the shower and the ensuite. The storage is sensational. I'm sure you've shown that through the cupboards and things. Once we go into our 60s and bigger boats, we do a thwart ship's bed, so you're facing the sea. But on a boat this size, you can't really do that. To make a wider hull, which some manufacturers do, you really impact on the seakeeping of the boat. So everything is a compromise.
And you've mentioned the 60. When will we see a 60?
The first 60 will arrive out here in Australia for the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show in 2021. Let's hope the world's open and we're moving a bit by then. So 2021, around May, will be the launch of the 60. We displayed the 70 at the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show last year, and we launched the brand in May last year in 2019 at Sanctuary Cove. So yes, we're pleased to have 11 boats to build since May last year. So, you know, we're very pleased. It's exceeded our expectation, the order book on ILIAD. We're wanting to only really build 3 or 4 boats a year, but we're gearing up to build, you know, a boat launch a boat every 8 weeks into 21, 22.
Well, it's a credit to you all, because it's so far with what Marcus and yourself have shown us today, it's a very impressive finish.
Yeah, look, just one part of the, I'll just check with Marcus. Have you finished pretty much showing what you want to show? I just wanted to show you we're inside the boat at the moment. If I start up the engines.
The only thing we haven't done yet, which we'll do after this, is the flybridge.
Yeah, we'll do that. I think this is a good opportunity just to show you the engines on board. It's about the noise. We're running 2 440 horsepower Yamaha engines at the moment. I'm just going to go into neutral, and I'm going to bring these up to, let's say we're doing 8 knots.
Sorry, have you got them on now?
Yeah, we're now doing, just out of curiosity, out of interest, we are. Okay, now we're doing 1200 RPM. We'll just bring this one back. We're doing a bit more on that one.
Like a laundry detergent ad.
So we're doing 8 knots. If we were at sea now, we're doing 8 knots, doing 1200 RPM with the 2 engines running. This is the noise that you have inside the boat.
Well, from where I'm sitting, I can't tell that there's a noise.
Okay, well, just to show you how you've got 2 stages of insulation from this living area. The first is your sliding doors. Now these are 2 glass panels of laminated glass, so you've got an air void in between them. So once we open the door, you can walk out here, Rachel, and you can hear the engines now, Greg, I'm sure. If you come out here. So even the cockpit, I'm not raising my voice to talk. We're doing 8 knots at sea.
Could you open the engine hatch, Mark? I don't believe you.
So you can, there we go. So just, I'll let Marcus show you through the engine room shortly, but I just wanted to, I found people are very impressed with how quiet the engine is, so we'll get the skipper to turn those off. Thanks, Lou. It's really important to a lot of people to have that quiet space. You know, a lot of our buyers have come from the sailing market. They've had sailing yachts. We all love sailing. We're old salts ourselves, and to transition from sail to power, the noise levels is something that's quite difficult to come to terms with. So we've done a lot of work on managing and soundproofing to make sure that, you know, it's really comfortable at 8 knots cruising to sit around the cockpit. It's not it's not annoying, the sound of your engine noise, and particularly when you go inside for, you know, overnight, if you're doing long passages overnight, it's like being in your home. It's really quiet. So that's just something we've done a lot of R&D on, and that's across the whole range.
Just while you're standing there, the light above your head isn't flickering, is it?
No, that'll be
that's
the water. That's the water and the sun flickering.
No, it's the speed of the video. Yeah, it's like when you try to video TV. So I just want to let everyone know that's not a broken light.
Okay.
That sound experiment then was very impressive.
Yeah, look, it's you know, that a lot of people have you know, have mentioned this before we did the R&D on this brand back in the you know, back in 2015, 2016, about noise management on a powerboat, particularly a long range boat. If you're doing, you know, if you're crossing to New Zealand for 5 or 6, 7 days, just cruising across, you know, and it's cold and it's a bit miserable, the weather, you're really on a floating apartment inside the boat, if that's how you want to live. A lot of people don't like the elements unless, you know, it's a perfect day, anchored to perfect anchorage. So
very good. Let's see what's upstairs.
I'll just pass you back to Marcus to just. Do you want to explain anything on the engine rooms, Marcus, to the to those people that are having a look?
What I'll probably do, right, so I'll come down and then I'll grab the camera from you.
Yes, sorry, I forgot about the engine bays. You're doing great work on the camera, Rachel.
So, give Rachel a break.
Yeah.
So this is the port engine room, where you can see the 440 horsepower Yamaha shaft drive engine. And then right next to me here is the 13.5 kilowatt generator, Onan. And you've got your gas water separator there for the generator, so you don't get that that rush of water that you hear sometimes on some older style boats. Yep. So the water goes out under the water. The exhaust water goes out under the water. Over on this side, you just got two 20-volt breakers, your fuel filter down here, your coolant, your seawater intake for the engine. Yep. And these manifolds for the fuel tank. So you can actually, and there's the transfer pump there, you can actually transfer fuel from one side to another. So let's say in the scenario that you pulled up alongside and you could only fill one fuel tank because they're independent, you can only fill one side, you can transfer 50% to the other side. There's a camera at the top of the insulated wall you can see, so you've got engine room cameras in both engine rooms. There's the fire suppression system that we spoke about, and then these are the engine blowers. So these extract the hot air out of the engine room, and then in the ceiling there you can see that's the intake. So that brings the cold air from outside in, and then the blower takes the hot air out.
And so, sorry, Marcus, what's up on the front, on the starboard side up high there?
That's the exhaust.
No, sorry, on the other side. Yeah.
That's the engine battery and the generator battery.
Okay, that's a really clever spot for the batteries, yeah?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So they're strapped down. As we know, these boats were built to CE certification, and the rooms are very well, easy to get around. I don't know if you can see. You can walk around the engine room. You can work on all parts of the engine. So engineers love it. And as these are boats ideally going to be used for remote cruising, it's easy for the owner to operate. The galvanic isolators just there to reduce any corrosion from the earth currents, and then they're just breakers for the 220-volt shore power.
And what's
So-
directly behind you?
You've got the hot water system. So that's a hot water boiler. So that's run by the engine and the generator, and also the shore power.
Yep.
And then in here we have the to the steering, which is
Yes.
and I'll pop up now.
Understood. Very good.
Thanks, Marcus. So, and in conclusion, I think we'll go up to the flybridge to show you another really special part of the boat.
And Marcus, water maker?
Yeah, so what I haven't shown you on the starboard engine room, you have the water maker, which on this boat has a capacity of 280 litres per hour. And in there is also the hydraulics for the transom platform and the chiller plant for the air conditioning. So other than that, it's exactly the same. So no generator on that side, the water maker and the hydraulics.
And one last question on mechanics before we talk about the flybridge. Solar installations, possible, obviously?
So we have plenty of space here on the hardtop. Currently, there's two large solar panels totaling 400 watts. It's going 800 watts, sorry. So
Yes.
two 400s going straight into the 24-volt house pack.
Yes. Thank
So
you.
effectively, the boat is set up that you don't need to plug it into shore power when you're at anchor for long periods of time. The solar panels should keep your batteries topped up if you manage your power usage. So here, the flybridge layout, we've got 25 square meters of deck space here. And up here is where you really can do some customization. So with a new build, we just give you a blank canvas and you tell us what you would like. Some people prefer the helm to be over to one side or the other, or just off center like it is here. This particular layout has a nice L-shaped bar with the 220-volt barbecue here, ice maker just there, and then you've got plenty of other storage. You could put a freezer in here, for example. Then you've got cutlery drawers, so you can actually use this as an exterior galley. So instead of having to run up and down to the main galley all the time, you can keep a set of knives and forks and plastic plates and cups up here when you need. You've obviously got a sink just here, so everything you need. It actually becomes a really, even though you might think, what do I need a bar for? I'm never going to be serving drinks. It becomes a really good workbench, countertop with all the appliances at arm's length. Just here you have another drinks fridge. So again, preventing you from having to run up and down the stairs all the time.
Marcus, we've got a question from Florida.
Okay.
And the question is, can you have an air-conditioned flybridge? And obviously, so that means, can you have an enclosed flybridge?
Mark, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, you can, Greg. You can opt for a fully enclosed flybridge with fully air conditioned. We put a sliding rear door. In the back, it's a different mould to this mould. You know, for a boat this size, the only negativity, it does add a bit of weight to the boat. The boat can tolerate it. Your righting moment on the boat decreases, 4 or 5%. So, your pitch and roll can get a bit exaggerated with a fully enclosed flybridge on a boat this size. We're doing a few of them on the 60s, 70s, of course. But yes, it's possible. We've got, I think, one order being finalised for a fully enclosed flybridge. And basically you have sliding side windows, you have a front opening window so you can get some ventilation through the boat without running the aircon. But you've got to run your aircon in the tropic space of time if you're going to fully enclose the flybridge. And of course, Excuse all this noise. There's a bit of construction going on in the background here, Greg. But
Yeah, that's okay.
You can put your helm station on the left or the right of the flybridge. If you're home port, you're always berthing on the port side or the starboard side. If you want to put your helm station on one side or the other, you can do that. You can put this galley can run through the back here, so you can basically have a galley with stools on the back here, which is quite a good concept we're working on with a few buyers at the moment. But we found a lot of people go around in circles with the layout of this flybridge, and we always seem to come back to this as the best of all the options you've got. We use the space well. The position of the helm station works really well, and particularly getting this big opening, dining area, another dining area or entertaining area. As Mark's going to show you, it's dining. It's another dining table. Now this is on a gas strut. Marcus just lifts up that gas strut, so you can push the table down, which makes a really nice coffee table. Now this is great. No one has to get up and out of their chair to move. And this is generally how you use this area.
And it's a long way to the beer fridge.
No, it's not. It's not quite. But then you don't want to get this seat, Greg, because it's always your job to pass the next drink to the guests around the table. But no, look, it's again, it's 25 years of listening to customers who are looking for a transition into power boats or to upgrade their power boats. And it's just trying to minimise the compromises in a boat to have everything you really need. We talk about ILIAD. There's not a lot of bling about our boats. We're not trying to have the most bling. We're trying to be practical, well-designed, sensible layouts that are very functional for cruising families and cruising couples who want to go and explore the remote places around the world.
And Marcus, you've obviously been selling power boats for over 15 or 20 years up there in Thailand. As a 50-foot power boat, are you somewhat amazed at the volume?
Yeah, it's quite incredible. As I alluded to earlier, you really have to step aboard to appreciate the amount of space. I mean, this is a 25 square metre deck area. The main saloon, the interior of the main saloon is 35 square metres. There's 12 square metres in the cockpit, so you've got massive amount of room. So if you're looking for, I find in my time, people will buy a boat and then they'll come back to me and say, look, we've worked out what we want now. We want range, we want comfort, and we want stability. And I think with ILIAD, we can offer all those three. And with the fact that you can semi-customize your design, you can really walk away with a boat with your own signature on it. And I think it's something unique to the market.
Very good. Well, listen, gentlemen, I think we're getting to the end of our presentation for today. I think the next time we do this, we're going to get you to take the boat to somewhere like Tangalooma and sit out at anchor where there's no other noise.
Look, we apologise. We're in the boat works on the Gold Coast, and the expansion here is at a very high pace. They're building new refit sheds, new display sheds for boat sales, offices, marinas. So we're right in the heart of it, and giving Tony Longhurst a plug. Good on you, Tony. We're very proud to be a part of the boat work. It's a little bit noisy, but that's the way it is today. We apologise to those that
that's fine.
Find it hard to hear.
And I'll just ask if there's anyone who's watching who'd like to ask any questions. You've probably got around about 1 minute to post your question before we let the guys sign off. Is there anything else you want to cover, Gus?
I'm just going to ask rates to stand at the helm so people can get an idea of the visibility looking forward. So you can clearly see each bow, and having the central helm gives you a great vantage point as a captain.
Very impressive.
Okay, so Greg, do we have any questions from the people on the webinar?
No, I think you've done such a good job, gentlemen, that we don't today. So I think what we'll do is we'll say thank you. Thanks to Rachel for great camera work today. And thank you to Mark and Marcus for your wealth of knowledge. It's been a very good presentation and one that we'll be able to put up on YouTube. Just while you're there, I'm just going to go back to share screen, Mark. Just if you could, maybe Rachel will come over beside you. I'm just going to go to the layout sheets.
Right.
So this is the from current slide. So I don't think there's too much here, but I just know we did have these layouts. So that's the layout that we looked at with you.
Greg, we might just go down to the main deck
Okay.
to get away from
Yeah.
the noise, if
Yeah.
that's okay. So we'll just shoot down there. If you keep your
Yep.
presentation there, and we'll be with you in about 10-15 seconds.
So that's the layout we looked at today. And you can talk to Marcus and he can then also share with you the other layouts that are possible.
Yeah, so that's our standard recommended layout that is tried and proven. You can go into a 4-cabin layout, you can go into a 2-cabin layout. So we would have shown you the crew berth forward. We've got a crew berth forward on this particular boat, but you can also have 2 crew berths for for times, well, for young kids, if you just want a few extra berths. So you can ultimately sleep up to 10 people on an ILIAD 50 in their own cabins or berths.
Very good. So, okay. So thank you very much. Terrific. I suppose you gents are going to throw the ropes now and head off.
Yeah, we're going to throw the ropes and head off back home to look after the family and the kids for the weekend, actually. So it's a weekend coming up here it's Friday, so we're all heading back up to our lovely Sunshine Coast.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll say thank you, and I'm going to press stop, and we'll finish the presentation there. Thank you very much. Well done.
Okay. Just want to thank everyone for who has dialed in to watch. We hope you've learned a bit more about ILIAD Catamarans and Multihull Solutions, our Asia Pacific exclusive dealer, and the great work they're doing. And we really appreciate it, Marcus. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys. Well done. Bye-bye.